This show is brought to you by Databril, the scalable Amazon PPC management for large Amazon sellers and brands. Visit sellersessions.com/agency for more details. Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions again. I bring back Brian Johnson and Shawn Smith, and today we're doing the breakdown of Prime Day. So obviously we've all been run ragged. Guys, how you feeling a few days later?
Good. It's good when the sales actually start posting to the accounts that we can start calming down that the ROI was there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I know, man. It was good. I'm actually it was a good, it was, like you said, stressful leading up to it because we had to get projects out, make sure everything was set up, and then make sure everything was reverted back. So,
yeah.
I'm kind of happy like the storm is over a little bit.
It is nice. I mean, we have a lot of prep work, don't we, as, consultants or companies, and we have expectations of our clients, which is understandable, as you should. But it can be very stressful for those few days. For instance, we brought on a new client, which is good. But I was sitting there working on 3 of the listings, like keyword research on Prime Day, in the morning. Obviously, everything starts at noon. So that was a bit stressful. That kind of caught me on the hop. But I think overall we had a pretty good Prime Day across most accounts. Obviously, it's slightly different. Our accounts may be a bit larger in terms of SKUs than some of your clients. Do you see what I mean? Because they're normally larger accounts with hundreds of SKUs. So obviously there's going to be different approaches. So starting with you, Shawn, what was your kind of setup over Prime Day? What was the generics of how you would, the focus of the campaigns?
Yeah, it was good, man. So we basically tripled the budgets, like campaign budgets for any campaigns that are at or below our target ACOS for that SKU. And then we increased the keyword bids by 30% for any keywords that were at or below break-even ACOS at the SKU level. And then we increased the ad groups by, I think it was 15 or 20% if they were at or below our target ACOS. And for at the SKU level. And then for some accounts where we had budget, like daily budget caps, we would do, I think it depends on the account, but it was like 2.5 to 3x of normal spend.
Yeah, makes sense. And what about yourself, Brian? What was, generally across the board?
Yeah, it was similar as far as taking those keywords that have historically had a good conversion and a good ACOS, and increasing the bids on those. Sometimes we doubled them. We didn't go crazy on them, but we definitely increased them. And then probably I would say probably similar is that we tripled ad budgets on the campaigns that we knew would have the ROI.
Yeah.
As you've probably heard, is that I tend to teach and publicly talk about, doing the exact opposite of what Amazon recommends as far as doubling, tripling budgets, doubling, tripling bids across the board. And we're even more aggressive this year. 2 weeks in advance, we basically waited until right before Prime Day.
Yeah.
And so that we weren't just blowing through ad spend for 2 weeks straight without getting any ROI.
Yeah. Do you want to tell the audience what you were seeing in terms of what the suggested bid of Amazon, which is incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah. So one of the things we saw across most of our larger accounts, most of our larger client accounts, was that the recommendation was sent in from Amazon. It's like, hey, we went ahead and we saw that you're running lightning deals, or we know your top products. We went ahead and we created automatic campaigns for you specifically for Prime Day, and they're in pause mode. All you need to do is just turn them on and they're going to do great for you. And of course those were all forwarded over to me as far as the emails, and I went and looked at each one of these, and every single case they would take a pool of products, they would throw it into the same campaign, same automatic campaign, same ad group. They would put a $600 daily budget, and then the default bids for each of the product ad groups, or for the ad groups, were set up in I saw as little as $3.50 per bid, and I saw as high as $18 per bid.
Jesus Christ.
With most of it, what I saw was like in the $8 to $15 range as far as default bids that they're recommending. And what they didn't communicate very well was that on the Lightning Deal ads, those are specifically supposed to be for sponsored ads showing within the Lightning Deal Prime Day table. And so, you know, after the fact, it makes sense as far as why they were asking for such a bid. The problem, of course, is that they would the ROI would just never be there. You know, I mean, you're talking about, you know, $20, $30, $40 items, and you're paying, you know, maybe $5, $10, $15 potentially per bid, per click.
Jesus.
You'll never get your money out of it. You might sell a ton, but the what you actually pocket, you're going to be paying money to Amazon out of pocket. You won't get that back. You know, the ROI just isn't there.
That is like price gouging, isn't it? You know, like you used to get with, I don't know if it's still the same, like in the US, you've got surge pricing, haven't you, in terms of using Uber, where the price will go up.
Yeah.
You're setting these bids 2 weeks before. It's like, who is put in charge of this shit? Why would you let these people loose on people's accounts and say, yeah, that's fine? There is no liability in place, is there? It's just like, well, it's Amazon. We set them up. That's your responsibility. You spent the money, not ours. We were trying to help you. If we would have done that as companies, do people be suing us?
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. No, and in fact, I mean, you know, it's like you figure that Amazon, it's like, yeah, I mean, you'll probably get a lot more sales.
Yeah.
But the ROI will be so horrible. It's basically like saying, you know, as if we were to come to a client afterwards and say, look, we sold $100,000 of your product, and the ACoS for that was 600%. Wasn't that great how many sales we got you? They'd be like, hell no, you're fired, and I'm suing you.
Yeah.
You know? You know, because there's, you know, because they spent, you know, at least twice as much just to run the ads. You know, it's just
but what I don't understand is someone's obviously, it's a business, right? So someone's set these up across the account. Someone's gone and said to them, right, this is what you need to do. This is your instruction. Is there instruction? Look, this is about sales. We need to make the most amount of money for the advertising. You've got to earn your money on the jobs. You've got targets to meet. Therefore, incredibly high bids. These people are basically morons. You should do this, and then you'll hit your targets. Is that what it's based on? Because I can't understand any sensible person basing on those bids. It's just outrageous.
Yeah, I mean, I think what they're trying to sell people on is the fact that it's like, look, if you want a high ad position, and
yeah,
I think that's kind of, we take that for granted as consultants and coaches, is that we take it for granted that people will think through, like, okay, what's next? You know, what is this going to produce? That's going to produce the next thing. Yeah. And we might hear, you know, you've had clients like, look, I just want my ad showing up above this other competitor, you know, or I want my ad on page 1. Yeah, but are you ready to accept the cost on that? The loss in, you know, a poor ROI, you know, and after the fact, they'll complain. And it's like, well, but I didn't make any money on this. It's like, yeah, but that's not what you were going for. But while we have to be cognizant of all of that, you know, that front end, trying to achieve that objective of having an ad showing, you know, like say in this case on Prime Day, you know, among all the different products and selling a bunch of product, we are still accountable for the fact that it's like, okay, yeah, but how much did I actually make out of this? Oh, now you ask the question. You know, and we don't have the luxury of just like waiting until we look at the dust afterwards and saying, it's like, yeah, well, you know, it didn't work out this year, but, you know, because it's not our money. Yeah. You know, but the client has got somebody that they're accountable to. You know, if they're not the owner of the company, they're still going to be like, oh man, they completely blew up my campaigns, and I lost money because of this, you know, because of this agency I hired.
Yeah. No, it sounds crazy.
So, I mean, we don't have the. We don't have luxury, yeah.
I totally get it when you need to spend money, and which will help in terms of converting on those keywords, which will help going towards organic rank. So I'll give an example. Just recently, I've just launched a product in the UK, exact match keywords. I've gone hard on my bids, make sure I'm relevant. I've done a handful of giveaways, shown a bit of external traffic. My ACoS is like 200%. at this stage, right? I'm converting every 6 clicks with no reviews, okay? I'm at bottom of page 1 within a week and a half on quite a competitive term. There is a strategy behind that, because the way I see that, one, that's on my side, it's not a client, so I can afford to take those risks because it might not stick on page 1, as we know when you're doing ranking and stuff, right? But the way I see that is that is money well spent. I don't put a cost next to that. I call that a product cost. Because if I spend £500 to £1,000 to get me to page 1 on a keyword, to me that's a product cost. And then it becomes sensible after in terms of running your PPC across multiple keywords. But there's no £10 or £15 bids there. There's not £8 or £12 bids there. Do you see where I'm coming from? If they're setting up these auto campaigns or broad match campaigns, and they're just throwing 8s and 10s, 15s on there, that's just, for me, is just, I don't know, I can't even put it.
Well, and to take it, to take one step further, is that they were actually calling, on Monday, they were actually calling these clients on the phone and saying, hey, I noticed you haven't activated your campaign. We set it for you.
Yeah.
And of course our response was like, going, yeah.
Yeah, it's gouging. That's basic gouging, isn't it? It's like they're chasing up to squeeze, like, oh, we've set up these really expensive campaigns, and then they're on the phone chasing you. That's like telesales teams chasing you up, isn't it? Window sellers or whatever. It's just, I think it's outrageous.
Yeah. Well, and again, like you said, is it, if it's a matter of sales velocity, that's a completely different strategy than basically on a Prime Day and Black Friday liquidation sale where the client has already decreased their profitability because they've reduced the product price, selling price. They put it on special, and then they're being asked to pay not just a premium, but an outrageous premium on their advertising just to sell products. So they can look back at it, I guess, and say, it's like, man, it's like Prime Day, I cleaned up, man. I sold, 10,000 units. Yeah. But the accountant comes after him and says, look, man, you're going bankrupt if you keep doing this.
Yeah.
Because you got a bill from Amazon right now of $14,000, and you just made 10,000 in sales. It's like the math doesn't work.
Yeah. That's incredible. So on a positive note, sorry, I said we'll keep this show nice and light until we come across that. I don't like that when people just go out. That's just,
Yeah, we're not here to complain. It's just kind of like,
Yeah, it's not for me about complaining about Amazon do this and we can't. This is me saying, you need to take responsibility. Like, how can you justify doing bids of that nature, not taking any concept of the cost, and then follow them up on a Monday? That's, to me, is just gouging, really. They're just the salespeople that have got no interest in you as their customer. Because this is the thing, Amazon are key about their own customers, but aren't we customers as well? Aren't the people that they're setting up these accounts for customers? So would they treat the public that way? No, they wouldn't, because that's gouging, isn't it?
Right.
Make sense?
Yep.
So, on a positive note, what you got for me, baby? Where's your suit today? No suit this morning.
Nah, man. I don't know. I just I didn't do the suit today, man. I didn't do the suit. I think we're doing audio. That's what I thought.
We are doing it, and we got Brian in the big truck in Texas somewhere, haven't we? He's not even at home. Man. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I'm getting ready to go into in a half an hour. I'm getting ready to go into basically a high level mastermind down here in Austin, and so that's why I'm basically commuting.
Excellent. No, thank you for jumping on the call, because I know, obviously this will go out a slightly later date after Prime Day. So I just thought I'd catch you while it was all still fresh in your mind, So sorry, Shawn, some positive stuff. Give us some positive stuff. You're a man of positivity.
Yeah. I would say overall it was a good day. It was mixed results. Like, I would say for us, the accounts that were whoa were far and few between. There are a few, but it wasn't all of them. We were seeing between the monsters were a couple of them. They were the minority. And then for people that did 1.5 to 3x, they were more the majority. And then we had some products, because we work in some categories that are really boring categories. Yeah. They literally were I would send an email and be like, hey, this is how we're preparing for Prime Day. And one of my clients was like, great, but we don't need to do that because our products don't sell in Prime Day. So
yeah,
I was like,
we've got the
cool.
same as well.
Which I like. I mean, I love Prime Day. I think it's a great day, but I'm a bigger fan of sustainable businesses. And so, I mean, either way, it's good. So it was mixed. It really depended on the category of the product. It was
Definitely.
Prime Day is more about control, man. It's more about control. It's more about looking at like historically what happened and like fending off poor methodologies. Like Brian talked about with the auto campaign. You know, I was open to the idea. So here's the thing. I got the email about the 2 weeks and the auto campaign. And I said, okay, I'm an open mind. Like I like to learn. I like to constantly learn, but I need to know the methodology behind it. I need to know what data you guys pulled to say this stuff. Like I read the email and it was just super general. I didn't receive any information. I even talked to a few people at Amazon about the auto campaign methodology, and we didn't end up using it because there was no strong methodology behind it to support the goals that we had. And so that was the tricky part. So, we made sure that like we just focused on a solid methodology. And overall, I mean, I think it was a good day. It was a good Prime Day. Our biggest thing was just making sure that everything was set up. We did 24 hours before Prime Day, and then everything was reverted back like 12 midnight Eastern time. So it was a good day because we got those goals accomplished. And I think everybody was pretty happy with Prime Day. I mean, the servers, they had some issues. I had all these dog memes on my Facebook feed.
Yeah.
Now I know who the majority of my Facebook friends are. They're in the Amazon market. It's true.
Well, they were in the shopping market. Yeah.
But it was good, man. It was a good Prime Day. Like I haven't set up calls. I'm going to set up calls with clients to review the data. Like I'm going to wait 7 days. Just to be safe, to review all that data, but it'll be good. It'll be good for analysis. Overall, I mean, we saw an increase. It was good. It was a good day.
Yeah, no, I completely agree on that.
So, Shawn, what's going forward? Were you looking forward to Cyber Monday and Black Friday? Yeah.
Yeah, I am. I mean, I think it'll be a similar prep. I look at last year's data. So what I did for Prime Day was I looked at last year's data and then just saw where the lift was. Like Brian talked about how like Amazon sent 2 weeks in advance, and that did not support what I saw last year, like looking at sales. And so that's why we didn't do that. Like I was just like, cause they did kind of pitch the whole, I know Brian, you mentioned that they pitched that you'll get your ad in like the today's deals. That was like kind of like what they told me about, but that wasn't compelling enough for me because it wasn't as targeted either, right?
No, definitely not.
Yeah, that today's deals is pretty general, right? And so that, you're getting a hodgepodge of things, and it's not search based. I feel like it's more like display kind of strategy.
Did you not notice a dip before Prime Day? I seemed, when the leak came, I see that people's, the accounts looked like there was a bit of a drop on, I can't remember the date of it, but do you remember someone from inside Amazon mistakenly leaked the actual date of Prime Day? I see, and I may be wrong, but across the accounts, we see a dip and then it lifted. And then when into Prime Week, it seemed like the numbers went down a bit, across the board. I don't know if you see the same thing.
Yep. Did you see that, Brian?
Well, so like certainly within my, within my coaching and student group is that I had originally projected July 17th, 16th and 17th as being the actual date, which it happened to turn out to be. And my logic on it was simply just like the week before was too close to the 4th of July holiday.
Yeah.
That it seemed kind of risky to do it for Amazon. Then I would expect them to push out another week, which it turns out they did, but I could have just as easily been wrong in that logic. But what we usually see, and what I'd like to teach a lot about, is the seasonality that's affected by buyer psychology. And the biggest thing that we see on Amazon and e-commerce has to do with the distracted buyer, those who are on 4th of July holiday with their family, those who are maybe shopping for deals leading up to a Prime Day or a Black Friday, and they're holding off on their conversions, but they're still shopping. They're still clicking through on ads. They're still trying to figure out what am I going to get the best deal on, but they're not going to actually make the purchase until that event day, until Prime Day or Black Friday. And so I always teach is like, look, the 2 weeks leading up to Prime Day or Black Friday, your conversion rates are going to be horrible compared to what you're used to.
Yeah.
Because first of all, like with Prime Day, it's in the worst season of the year. It's in the lowest season of the year. That's why they're doing it.
Yeah.
And two is people are holding off on their purchases, and then it spikes, of course, on Prime Day when people get frenzied and they saved up their purchases. And again, kind of like what Shawn mentioned, is it really depends on the product category, product niche that it's in. If it's a staple item like toilet paper or dog food, it's like, yeah, no, nobody's going to hold off their purchase. But if it's primarily a gift item or conducive to being a gift item, then, most likely it's going to have a huge Prime Day or Black Friday sales day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we do expect, a definite drop in conversion rates and profitability in the 2 weeks leading up to Prime Day.
Yeah. Well, I know it's quite early doors yet, but we've got Q4 coming around the corner. We can do a complete different episode on that. But what would you do differently now for the next Prime Day?
Well, I think probably what I learned, I kind of theorized that this was going to happen, and it just happened to work out the way, actually better than I thought it was going to. And that is, we had dusted off a more of an advanced strategy we call Waterfall campaigns, where we set up a series of automatic campaigns that either advertise, they're basically new automatic campaigns, and one of them is set with a high bid, low budget. And then a second one is a medium bid, low budget, and the third one is a low bid, high budget. And what that does is your first two campaigns are intentionally running out throughout the day, and then you got this high budget automatic campaign that suddenly turns on in the afternoon. Theoretically, being that you're not blowing all of your ad budget on high cost per click ad spend, but what you're doing is you're sustaining. It's almost like a day parting technique, except we call it waterfalling.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening is we were theorizing that there was going to be a lot of sellers who were listening to Amazon's emails and advice, and they were doubling, tripling their budgets and their bids. And sure enough, they ran out of budget, and a lot of their campaigns stopped midday. And then so our third tier waterfall campaigns that we set up specifically for clients that had products that were conducive to this type of method, we ended up getting, in a period of like probably about 8 hours, we'd have campaigns that were getting 9-10 million ad impressions. And with, we might sell, I recall one of them we spent like, I don't know, I think it was like $100, and then we had like 4,000 or 5,000 in sales. It was like a 3 or 4% ACoS is what we ended up netting, with just massive ad impressions, because it simply ran, even at a low bid. First of all, the profitability was great because there was a low bid, but it happened to start at a time of day after most people had already run out of their budget. And so that's something I'll definitely teach for Black Friday, is that tiered methodology, or some kind of a timing to take advantage of the fact that Amazon's marketing emails to have people essentially overspend out of control on Prime Day is very effective, and it reaches a lot of sellers who simply just believe that, Amazon must have better data, so I'm going to follow what they suggest.
Yeah.
And that creates an opportunity for, consultants like us who understand that buyer, that not only the buyer behavior, but the seller behavior as well. And we can take advantage of that in the second half of Prime Day.
Yeah, makes total sense. You want to add anything before we go, Shawn?
Dude, I'm a huge advocate of the waterfall too. I use it for product launches. I've been doing it for a while, and I love it. It's a great strategy. It allows you to get some low hanging fruit, and waterfalling is a great method. It's solid and it's super advanced. Most people don't do it because it takes a lot of time and effort. Like creating 3 campaigns, and the way that most people manage PPC is through Campaign Manager, and it takes a long time to do that through it's triple the amount of effort, and so the barrier to entry is a little higher, especially the more SKUs you have.
Right.
But if you can scale that up, dude, it's super effective.
We actually use that too in order to, like, let's see, you've got a product grouping that has a parent product, and maybe one or two of the products are getting a lot of love. They're getting most of the ad spend taken care of. And so we might actually set up, different automatic or manual campaigns, as it may be, and separate the different product variations so that instead of waterfalling down to lower bids, it is lowering in bids on the same, instead of on the same products and just lowering bids in different tiers, we're actually rotating from one campaign to the next that has a different product variation so that throughout the day, every variation gets some advertising time.
Yeah, makes total
So
sense.
that works out pretty well as far as getting better exposure to more of those child variations that don't normally get any visibility at all.
Cool. So how can people reach you, Shawn, if they want to reach you for PPC, etc.?
If people want to reach me, they can reach me at Shawn at ppcamsaccelerator.com.
Excellent. And Brian?
Either on Facebook, on the Amazon PPC troubleshooting group, they can actually reach Shawn and I both through that group.
Yeah.
And then me directly, I'm at Brian at canopy.management.
Cool. So obviously we all run our own PPC companies, so it doesn't matter. So come to any of us, whoever you feel comfortable with. If you've got any questions, of course, just reach out. Again, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. I look forward to speaking to you again in the next couple of weeks. If this is your first time, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Take care, and I'll be back in a few days' time.